Hello everybody, how we doing? Welcome along to FAB Rugby. So it's another interview week and today we are joined by a very special guest. Drop your questions in the chat as we go along. Let me see who's in there. Hello Ultimate, hello James, Suckling, hello Sherna, how are you doing? Hello Gregor. So yeah, we're joined by a very special guest, so I'll need to call him in a second. But if you have any questions, feel free to drop them into the chat and I will ask them as we go. So I'm going to have a chat to our special guest. I'm just going to add him in now. If you're new to the channel, make sure you hit subscribe. And if you enjoy this video, or if you like any of this, just hit like and etc, etc. Right, so I shall give this gentleman a call. 1 second. Just waiting for him to accept. Hello. No answer yet. Oh, hello. I think we're good. Hey, how we doing? Just bear with me 1 second, let me pop you into here and then we're all good to go. So if you're watching along, let me switch to there. So if I switch to here now, oh, you're a bit big on the screen, so bear with me a second. There we go. So yes, as you can see, oh, wrong one. 1 second. What's it being? Cool. Got it. There we go. It's all out of sorts. How are you anyway, Harry Thacker? How are you? You well?
Yeah, good, mate. You?
Yes, not too bad. How's everything going with everything that's going on in the world at the moment? How are you coping with it all?
Yeah, I'm doing fine. It's a bit bizarre, though, isn't it?
It,
Weird
it is
situation, but
it is a bit strange, I must admit. Are you finding it? Are you missing rugby, or are you just missing the lads? What's been the biggest thing so far?
yeah, I'm
Just
missing being
just
around boys day in day out. Um,
yeah.
in terms of rugby, yeah, but I just got injured just before the lockdown,
Okay.
so I had a neck operation, so I wouldn't have been back playing just yet anyway. So for me, it was probably tougher watching them play rugby because I knew I wasn't able to get out there, kind of thing. So
Yeah.
for me at the minute, it's all good.
So we've got. If you want to drop any questions in the chat, you can drop them in, and I'll ask them as we go. But I thought I'd get going with some quick fire ones, just to kind of get to know you a little bit better. So just a couple of quick ones.
Okay.
Eat in or eat out?
Eat out.
Summer or winter?
Summer.
Surfing or rugby?
Rugby.
Best friend in rugby?
Dan Thomas.
Favorite other sport?
Surfing.
Favorite movie?
Or or uh, mm, Gladiator.
What's your pre-match hype song?
Anything. I'm probably not trusted with DJ duties, so whatever the other lads put on.
Who's got the worst banter at Bristol?
uh, Probably Dan Thomas.
And the final one, then, if you could play any other position in rugby, what would you choose?
Uh, I'd be a fullback.
Fair, fair. So we've got a couple of questions coming in, but I've got some to work through. So I'll just ask, just
Yeah.
one is, how does the lockdown affect your recovery?
So I'm still getting physio a couple of days a week at the club. It kind of goes down as post fracture care or something, or operation care. So I'm still getting that, but not as much as I would do. So at the minute, I'm probably getting to a stage where I need other bodies to kind of progress in the kind of the latter stages of the rehab. So like contact and stuff. So at the minute, it's rather slow because I can't get that element in with the social distance and everything. But up until now, it's been fine. Yeah.
So we're going to go right back to the beginning here. So how did you first get into rugby then? Where did your journey into rugby start?
So I started pretty early. I think obviously my old man used to play, so rugby was always in the family, and I used to get taken down to watch my older brother play, and mum and dad used to say they struggled to keep me on the sideline. So about the age of 3 or 4, they got me involved in my older brother's age group. So that's probably how it started.
So what club was that? Was that in Leicestershire, was it, or?
Yeah, in Leicester, a club called Leicester.
Okay, yeah. So did you play any other sports growing up?
Yeah, I got involved in as much as I could. I played cricket, football, athletics, tennis, anything that I could kind of get involved with. I did, to be honest. So yeah, everything that was out there, I attempted.
So at what point did it suddenly dawn on you that kind of rugby, like what was the steps for you to get, did you go into the Leicester Academy? And then what was the point that you kind of thought, okay, this is something I could do for a career?
Growing up, I always dreamed of being a rugby player, but I never thought realistically it would be viable. It was probably at the age of 16, 17 that, probably 16 when I thought, geez, this could happen here. Because I was always told that, I was too small, and growing up in the Leicester kind of academy setup, after academy, it was kind of younger. It was like you're 12 to 16. I was never really picked for any of their kind of games. And then at the age of 16, I went through the county system and played for Midlands and got into the England setup there. And I remember all my friends that were in the Leicester setup got a letter saying that they'd been chosen for the academy, and I hadn't heard anything. So I still thought it was off the cards at that point. And then I got a phone call off the academy manager at the time, Neil McCarthy, and he just said, look, we think you're too small, but we like what you can do. You can have an option. You can come in at the age of 16 and give it a crack, or we can leave it a year and see if you grow any more. And
wow.
yeah. And at that, for me at that point, it was kind of, I just want to get stuck in and give it a good crack. So I joined at 16 and didn't play a lot of rugby in the first year. It was mainly in the gym, but that's probably for me when I thought it got serious.
So from listening to you talk about how kind of you almost get knockbacks because of your height, has that kind of been a defining factor in motivating you to kind of get where you are then? Has it kind of given you that kind of kick to kind of kick on from it?
Yeah, I was thinking about this not that long ago actually. Ever since I moved to Bristol, really, that my height was something that always got used against me at Leicester and all throughout, really, that I was never big enough to play rugby. And, up until I moved, it was probably something that kind of weighed me down a lot. Yeah. Whereas when I moved, I kind of took a different perception of it. And I would have never have worked as hard as I did if I was never told that growing up as a kid. And, I would have never been as motivated as I was to prove people wrong. So it's definitely shaped who I am today and my attitude towards kind of training and life, really. So
let's move forward a little bit more then from that. Then when you made your professional debut, how was that, and what was it like the first game that you played? Was it like, oh well, this is a big step, or was it kind of like, okay, I can do this?
So my first, probably starting debut was in the LB Cup. That was my first experience, and it was like in front of a big Welford Road crowd, and I ended up getting man of the match that game, and that's when I thought, like, yeah, geez, I can do this. It's kind of like I was worrying about that step up to kind of first team level coming through the academy and whatnot, and that sort of game just kind of proved in my head that I can cope with it, I can handle with it, So yeah, for me it was a pretty epic night that night, and it was we played with quite a few lads that I grew up through the academy with, so it was quite special as well. Yeah.
So getting the man of the match on your first thing must have been a bit like, this is easy. I can do this now. This is easy.
No.
So how do you look? Obviously, we'd talk about Leicester a little bit then. How like your dad played for the club? Does your brother still play for the club? No,
he got let go.
So how do you look back on your time with Leicester then? How do you reflect on your time there? Is it good positive memories, or did when you kind of, we'll talk about your move in a second, but how do you look back on your time at Leicester?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, massively positive, and just to be able to wear, I don't know how many appearances I got for it, but a fair few, and to wear that kind of jersey that my old man had played for, and to say that I played for, the team that I grew up admiring. Yeah, massively fond memories. And for me, at the end of it was just the right time for me to leave. But yeah, I only look back with fond memories of the club.
So let's get on to Bristol then. How did that move first come about then? So you say you were it was the right time to leave. Were you kind of actively looking for a different club, or did Bristol come in and say, "Oh look, we'd like to bring you in. We think you're going to fit." How did the move come about?
So Pat had actually given me a call the year before, when Bristol went down into the Championship, and said, "Look, I'm keen to get you involved, and what are your thoughts?" And at that time with Leicester, I kind of made a bit of a breakthrough, and then got knocked back again. But I thought, I'll give it one last crack, and I'd much rather be playing, with all the setbacks that I've had. I'd much rather be trying to give a good impression of myself at a Premiership level, than perhaps in the Championship. And so I said to Pat, "Look, mate, I just want to give it one more year at Leicester. It's obviously my boyhood club, and one that I watched my old man play for. So I just want to give it one last crack here." And then the following year, I wasn't given much love at Leicester, and got another phone call from Pat saying that, "We're still keen, we still want you." And at that point, it was more the fact that a coach was telling me that they wanted me, which I'd never really had before.
No,
because at Leicester, it was always kind of, I kind of progressed through, and then we had a different coach come in, another one come in, and I was always felt like they were probably stuck with me instead of, that someone actually wanted me. So, the fact that Pat had given me a couple of phone calls, I met with him, and spoke very highly of the club and his vision, and where he wants to take the club. And I thought, the passion and how he came across, it's just something that I struggled to say no to.
That actually leads me perfectly onto this. So Pat has actually he's praised you very highly actually in the press as well, and he talked a lot last year, and there was one thing that I remember that stuck out to me, and this was off the back of a solid season. He said that if you were in New Zealand, you would be considered for the All Blacks, no doubt. He said, no doubt, you would be the sort of player that the All Blacks would be considered. So, firstly, I saw this question come in to the chat, which is Gregor said, "What is it like working with Pat Lam?" And secondly was, how has he improved your game?
I think one thing about Pat is that you can have you have a professional relationship with him, and he's also a hell of a person as well. So, but he separates them very well. So, in work, he drives a hard bargain, but that's what gets the best out of people. But also, I know I could knock on his door and ask for anything, and he'd, do as much as he could to help me out. So, in terms of working with someone like that as a manager, it's class. And when you see someone, the passion and the drive that he's got to push the club forward, it's only going to make you want to do the same. And then I can't remember what the second question was.
How's he improved your game?
How's he improved my game? I think just playing week in, week out, and just seeing the game in, obviously Bristol's way of playing is completely different to the way that Leicester wanted to play the game. So it's definitely broadened my kind of the way I look at the game and the way I analyse the game, and it's just added another kind of string onto my bow, I'd say.
Does he kind of give you freedom to play then as such? You just trust in your kind of just go out there, believe in yourself, and just kind of deliver what we know you can do, sort of thing, rather than sticking to a formula of.
Yeah, I mean, it's a very structured game plan, although sometimes it probably didn't look like it. But there is a lot of freedom within that to express yourself. And yeah, he's a big believer in, the game plan's there to kind of get people in the right positions. But yeah, it's massively dependent on boys expressing themselves and doing what they were able to do.
So Will Andrews asked, did you take a lot of influence from George Smith during his time with Bristol?
He was huge for not just myself but the whole club. A hell of a bloke, and obviously he's been around the block a lot and just got a wealth of experience, and not just for myself but for everyone in the club. Yeah, he left a big a lot. I don't even know, a lot of.
Just a good aura around the place. He kind of sorted the environment to be in, was it?
Yeah, 100%. And he'd have a lot of time for anyone that wanted to learn off him. And it didn't matter who you were, whether you were coming through the academy or a regular starter. He put a lot of time into every individual.
So looking back to last season, then it was a solid season you had last year, and I think me along with a lot of other people were kind of expecting, with Dylan Hartley getting injured, etc., that you might be very close to getting a call up here, there, and everywhere to the England setup. And obviously it never came. And we still feel like it's kind of, you're so close, but it's kind of waiting for it. So how do you, there's been a lot of speculation about it. That's the first thing I was going to ask you, is how do you cope with the speculation? And has it been quite frustrating when you've been playing well and Pat's giving you all that support that he is, to then kind of not getting that next step, if you know what I mean? So how have you coped with it all?
In terms of the speculation, I try not to pay a lot of attention to it, because whether that's good or bad, it's probably hyped up more than what it actually is in realistic terms. I'm analysing my game constantly, and I know what I've done well, what I've not done well, and there's far more than probably you can see on the TV that everyone's watching. So there's plenty of parts of my game that I need to improve on, and I know that. And in terms of last year, there were a few conversations that I had with the setup, England setup, and for me that's never happened before. So I was never let down. I was never feeling let down by not being picked. It was more, that's something that I've never had before. I've never had that dialogue with anyone in that setup. So for me, getting feedback off them and being in contact with members of that setup was kind of it was a big thing for me and a step forward. So I never felt let down that I was never involved. It was more that a step in the right direction.
So is the channel still open? Are you still in conversations with the coaching setup, or have things evolved on from that yet?
I mean, it's quiet at the minute. But not a lot of rugby's being played. And again, I'm injured at the minute, so I need to get back playing and get fit and get back playing. And I probably haven't been playing my best rugby this year so far, and I know that. So for me, it's about getting that sorted first before I even think about anything bigger.
Okay, right. Let's move away from the game now. Like we've talked enough about rugby there. So away from the game, what do you actually enjoy doing? What's kind of like what's your passions in life?
I try to get surfing as much as possible. I try and head south to the beach, or even nick a couple of early morning sessions in South Wales when it's good. There's a good group of boys at the club that enjoy surfing, and there's a new inland wave place set up in Bristol that we've been heading to a lot. So I enjoy just getting to the beach and getting out. Anything sort of outside adventure, even just getting out into nature and just going for long walks, to be honest, just getting me outside of it, getting me out of the house.
And so converse of that, obviously we're in lockdown at the minute. Are you learning any new skills? Have you been doing anything different that you wouldn't normally be doing?
Well, it's given me a lot more time on my hands, so I'm spending a lot more time with the family, and I've got a little one that keeps me very, very busy. He keeps me on my toes. I've been getting in the garage a bit and doing a bit of DIY.
How's that coming along? What have you built so far?
I'm currently building my son a mud kitchen. I didn't even know that was a thing, but apparently it is. So I'm currently in the process of building that. And I'm doing an online course in photography at the minute that's taking up my evenings. So
brilliant.
I'm trying to keep busy, yeah.
Someone in the chat says, Shona says, any good Netflix recommendations?
Oh.
What should you go to?
I haven't even watched that Tiger King, but that's on my next to watch.
It's one of those, isn't it? Everybody's been talking about it. You can't avoid it.
I know, yeah. Who is this Carol Baskin? No, I got nothing off the top of my head.
That's all right. I didn't expect Carol Baskin to pop up today on the stream. That's all. Right, so let's go back to rugby. Just finished off then. So looking ahead then, what are you hoping to achieve in the next season or two? Obviously, you've got... Actually, I'll combine this with another question which just came in from James from Rugby Saracens 1 on Instagram. He asked about how are you feeling about next season. Obviously, we don't even know the end of this season yet, but what's it like knowing that you've got players like Ben Earl, like Max Marlins, like Semi Redradra, obviously that, but all those kind of boys coming in? Does that feel like, are you getting excited for what's to come with Bristol? Because you're really building something special down at the gate, aren't you? Like, so how does it feel to be part of that? Is it quite an exciting place to be at the moment?
Oh, massively exciting. And, this time away from rugby, you probably think about it more than when you're, in week in, week out, because it's, you move in quickly from one game to the next. But this time away, it's definitely exciting for next season. We're moving to this new training ground, which looks unbelievable. And, you've got world-class players that want to be at the club and playing at the club. It's exciting, and hopefully we'll be, in the Champions Cup next year. So in order to compete at both levels, at the Champions Cup and within the Premiership, and not have a drop-off, you need to have that squad depth and be able to rotate players week in, week out, and not lose kind of anything when you're dropping players in and out. So having players like that come into the squad and not losing too many boys is massively exciting.
And what do you hope to achieve personally in the next season or so? Just keep getting back to your form that you were past in the past season, etc.
Yeah, I'd like to kind of get back up and running fairly quickly after this injury, and I just want to get back to enjoying my rugby. And having an injury sometimes it's given me a new lease of life, and I've missed the game, and just want to get stuck back into it and back with the boys. And like you said, with players like Semi Redradra coming in and Carl Thacker, it's just an exciting place to be, and hopefully that will in the way the whole team plays should if the team play well, then hopefully I'll go well within it.
Brilliant. Well, thank you very much for joining me today, Harry. It's a pleasure to chat to you, and good luck with getting back from injury. And I'm sure I'll see you down at the gate in the new season, whenever that is. So take care, Harry. I'll speak to you soon. All right.
Cheers.
Bye.
Cheers. Bye.